What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another episode of my Byzantium playthrough. I've got some really bad news, guys, and trust me, I'm really beating myself up about it. It's just so irritating. Right now, I'm not in the game. As you can see by this, I'm literally just playing back whatever the default Windows 10 media player of my recording. Because I somehow managed to ruin this current recording that I'm looking at. It's not the first time this has happened. It's actually the software that I use. For some reason, it just decided to not recognize my microphone, which is very easily solved. It's not really an issue whatsoever, except for the fact that I did not notice it. There's literally no... If you imagine I sit here, I do recording sessions, record video after video after video, it becomes kind of habitual, and there's really no reason for the settings to just kind of change, you know? And it's very difficult to, if something does change, when you did not actually change the settings yourself, you kind of have to identify that fact, because I sat here and did the exact same thing, recorded the video, and my microphone essentially is not working. So I'm literally watching. I don't know what to do. I didn't actually realize literally until I uploaded the YouTube video, and then I clicked on the YouTube video myself. For anybody who thinks like, wow, that's bad or irresponsible or anything like that, just keep in mind that, I do this every single day. Imagine even like something like naming the thumbnails, guys, like 150 times or however long this series goes on and on for. The most optimal way to do that is to actually just sit there and like make the thumbnails beforehand instead of doing the same process every single day. So think about something as simple and as mundane as that, as titling the video or creating the thumbnail. It's literally the equivalent of like detention, right? Like in school or something like that, like sitting down and just writing out lines over and over and over again. So to anybody who thinks like I should have caught it, I really wish that I did catch the fact that that this was essentially muted. Trust me. But it's kind of unrealistic. It's really mind blowing to me that I recorded, what is this, episode 50 or something like that, and it just happens, and I didn't catch it. So, trust me, I feel really, really bad. Like, right now we're missing out on my commentary, and I'm sure there's going to be stages where I'm doing nothing but talking here throughout the video. I completely understand if you guys are not interested in watching this. I thought about just kind of apologizing and skipping the video in general, but it's definitely good to put up here and post. It's a really big shame because I did do things like integrating Austria this episode, as you can see, which I was really excited about. And just again to reiterate, guys, if you like the last time this happened, some people gave me grief. I don't really know how to say this. We're about to declare on Clemson clearly. I assure you that this is much more painful for me than it is for anybody watching this. Like, think about my perspective. It takes hours to upload videos for me with my bad internet. I didn't realize this was the case until the moment that I wanted my video to be online. So now people give me grief about not keeping a schedule or anything like that. Well, now I am way behind a schedule. I have to sit here, guys, for like damn near an hour watching my own content. It's even more tedious, if you will, than commentating on the game for 45 minutes. But to commentate on my own footage, like, I'm just saying, trust me, this is very painful for me and upsetting, but it is what it is. I could take it back if I wished, but yeah, let's not try to be too down in the dumps. And I'll try to see if I can say anything insightful throughout this footage. But I somehow kind of regret. I doubt rather that that's the case, because it's complete guesswork. Like, I'm just watching, like you guys are, to exactly what I am saying. But perhaps I can talk about, use this time, this opportunity to talk about other things as well that are maybe relevant or on my mind. You can see right now we have a lot of money, and I'm creating some templates right now. I'm actually not going to try not to touch the mouse at all, because it's just makes things look worse. Yeah, I think I've just invested heavily in Navy. I want a second Navy up and running, fully equipped with heavy ships and transports and so on, to help us in the future, as we are going to start needing to utilize that as our dominance becomes sort of full spectrum over to the New World and so on. Doing my best to just spend my admin here, and before it gets capped out, I mean. And Clemson is a good location to do that, because it has 50% increased cost, so that's a real easy way to dump admin there if we can defeat him before it caps out. And I'm going to be fighting in Asia throughout this episode, feeding Ming with the nice amount of reconquest that he has. A lot of people were, well, not a lot, I think one person in particular actually was talking about how there's no way Ming will not have liberty desire when we feed him, like all of his core. And I actually disagree with that, because we're also expanding ourselves. We're going to be expanding simultaneously, as well as expanding him, which is going to result in us being stronger, obviously. But also winning those wars, like against Clemson here. Right now I'm looking at the Timurids, and I'm actually surprised, because they teched up to this ahead of me, that they're not going to be a complete pushover, which is quite annoying. Because we're going to be involved in so many wars, just naturally, considering that we're trying to conquer the world, every time we piece out a war, we get prestige, and let alone the battles and the fact that I'm just gaining prestige in general, because of the fact that we're Orthodox and we own all of the different sort of requirements, modifiers, like the holy cities. I actually gain prestige when I'm at 100 prestige, meaning that I'm capped out all of the time. And yeah, we can just keep throwing prestige at Ming, but he's also, as you can see, he's currently has no liberty desire. He's currently maxed in relations, and we have the royal marriage with him. That modifier of enforcing religion is going to disappear over time. So I actually disagree. Let alone the fact that we can develop his land. I know he definitely has farmlands and grasslands out there in the Chinese region, some of which would be low development and cheap to develop. And because we don't actually have to integrate him at any point, I would be happy to develop his land, if we had a large amount of points, one point in particular, to keep him happy. So I do plan to have a gigantic Ming out here, and the more powerful that he becomes, the better it is for us. I remember doing this part here where I realized that I wanted to keep going into war against Wu, who is kind of the dominant Asian out here in East Asia, by declaring on his tributaries. But as you can see, the war score of Wu's provinces cost a lot. So it occurred to me, I remember that point, that the best way to take land from Wu is going to be sort of declaring on small, like one province minor tributaries, and actually piecing out that tributary with the Reconquest EB so that it doesn't cost us Diplo points, and just taking a few provinces here and there. But in this case, the nation that we're attacking, I think their name is Shun, is they have so much reconquest that we're probably not going to take anything from Wu whatsoever. We're just going to take our core and be satisfied with that. You could also see there that I paid off the debt of Ming. At the moment, Ming is really struggling, and that just results in even more negative liberty desire, if you will, and more stability. The fact that he's poor, so I'm not too worried about Ming as his liberty desire, and I plan to, he will definitely pay. It's a good investment. I don't know, I can't look at the subjects tab, but I think he's already giving us like 3.5 ducats, and I assure you he's going to be giving us more than that as we go into the future. So Pomerania just was announced the emperor, and geographically he's actually, one of the stronger Germans, but a bit of a pushover for us overall. He is allied to our ally, however, which is Scandinavia, which is actually a little bit irritating. I mean, it's about as bad as it could be. I suppose the emperor could be allied to Great Britain, Scandinavia, and Poland, and then that would actually become quite a nuisance to attack anybody inside the empire. See, right here, I'm doing stuff and saying stuff, which is just like, impossible for me to really understand exactly what's going on. I'm just talking about how we should, I'm trying to take these 50% cost advisors for monarch points. Unfortunately, they keep dying at a fairly young age, which is quite frustrating. I remember trying to roll a discipline advisor here, but I thought I would just spend the money to get that 3 monarch points on that advisor until we achieve the discipline advisor we're looking for. We are certainly doing extremely well economically right now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, things are basically going to continue in this manner. I apologize once again, guys, not only for this being not very ideal format for my video, but also the fact that I think I missed a day once again uploading. Not only that, but I think I did upload a video. That's how it worked out. I uploaded a video and then immediately realized that it was muted, essentially, and then removed the video from being online. So a lot of people even got notified that I uploaded a video and then there wasn't one. Really sorry for that. It was not intended. And hopefully we can move on. And hopefully it won't happen again. I say sort of begrudgingly because it probably will at some point. And it really makes me feel a bad man about what I'm doing. I find it really enjoyable, guys, converting out Ming's provinces really quickly, like 7 months. 7 missionaries, 7 months. Within just over a year, like 14 months, we can convert 14 provinces. Ridiculously cool. Very fast. And, With that being said, guys, I thought I would take this opportunity, those of you who are still here. I imagine many of you probably have clicked off due to this situation. But, in a way, this is almost like some kind of podcast or something. It feels a bit weird for me. But I wanted to take this opportunity to ask you guys a few things. I might as well. Like, I'm wondering, a lot of people comment that like they enjoy my content and my commentary and myself and so on, which is exactly, oh yes, I remember here, look at this event, beautiful. So this event actually allows us to finish off the integration of Austria, overkilled it there, and Austria has been annexed. Beautiful. Uniting Italy and our Byzantium Major, all as one unified country. And for the next, I think it's 10 years, well, before I complete that thought process, I was just saying that these, I'm going to spend some time looking at this, guys, but my breath was obviously wasted. This is an interesting mission you can see here, 3 iterations of the same mission. And it seems to give you claim on just 1 province. However, the reward for obtaining the province appears to actually give you core on the province, which is a pretty crazy. I don't know if that's a Byzantium thing or a Purple Phoenix thing, but definitely interesting to me. And you can see here that I kind of try to meticulously locate each province. I was a little bit confused, as many of them have the same names as the province or so on. And then I actually compare the size of each province to, because I think one of them is like 34 development. And if you take that province and it's cored up for free, that's pretty interesting, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm going to spend the next minute or so just dilly-dallying around. We're also going to go ahead. You see, that's 32. It's 32 development in that province. I'm going to begin integrating France. Even though we have the -3 to our deploy reputation, we still have positive deploy reputation, and that for the next 10 years or so, we get 15% reduced deploy annexation cost and 1 reputation from that nice event that we just got. That event is just insane when you are integrating nations. It's absolutely beautiful. With that being said, I don't think we will integrate France within that time frame, but it is still a bonus, to say the least. So as I muck around here, we can see that one is 32, one is 30, and one is like 20 or 21, those provinces. So I decided that this one that I've taken is the highest development, and then I think at some point here I realized, well, we're not actually going to do this. Let's re-roll a mission that we're going to get. But certainly interesting, and yeah, in the future, certainly interesting. Like, hopefully we can get a mission like that gives us free core. That's really cool. I wanted to say a few things though, guys, about like my sort of evolution as a EU4 player. The game has evolved in a manner, guys. I always felt like there was a trend from when I started playing the game that the game has gotten much, 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 much harder. When I first started, it was Art of War, and I was kind of a complete noob, but I had played EU3 before, so I had some idea of what was going on. I also streamed back then for a small amount of viewers, like around 40 at the time, or less, on my very poor quality internet, and I assure you it looked terrible. But a lot of people, they constantly request or ask why I'm not streaming. At the moment, it's because my internet quality is so poor. I just don't think it's a valid use of my time, because you have to understand that it would detract from me doing this instead, because I can't stream when I am, uploading a YouTube video, for example. Huge reconquest there for Ming. Ming's looking pretty nice, and he's going to continue to look nice as a nice subject for us. But yeah, I did stream Art of War, and what I'm trying to say is that I learnt fairly quickly thanks to the stream giving me tips and so on. But I think I was a noob, so I couldn't just conquer the world, for example, at the time. But I think it was way easier to conquer the world. And even before Art of War, there were fewer provinces, and it would have been actually easier. And overall, there has been a general trend with the addition of provinces and so on. In my opinion, there has been a general trend of the game and many achievements like World Conquest becoming much, much harder with time. However, there is the odd thing that did make those kind of achievements easier, in my opinion, and one, for example, is with the addition of estates, you can take 150 admin points every now and then. That's an example. However, most of them have been pretty small, and they've been overshadowed, in my opinion, by... it just occurred to me here that I haven't stated up, the Austrian provinces. And then I decided just to do the Vienna region, which is like just ridiculously good. Like the size. The other regions are actually fairly low compared to some, like what I'm looking at right now, which is my most developed region, and it's part of Italy. We're capped on our admin, so I just go ahead and do that if I remember correctly. I just wanted to say, guys, that what I was saying is the game was getting harder over time, but the major way that is not accurate, if I suppose, if that's the correct way of saying, is with the addition of absolutism. So, hoping that you're following my thought process here, I'm just saying recently with the addition of absolutism, I feel like that is a massive sort of bonus or buff to closing the gap and making things like world conquest or one tags and things much more possible. So in a sense, I feel like the game has kind of been, I don't want to be I don't want people to nitpick or scrutinize what I'm saying too much, but what I mean is it's kind of easier than it's ever been for me to achieve things, in my opinion. Because, at one stage when it was easier, I was a noob, if that makes sense, and it's only ever gotten harder. I feel like it's actually easier now. And for me, guys, Byzantium, even if you take the core, they're a fairly small nation. And having played my game as Brandenburg, and how aggressive I went in my game as Brandenburg, where I did that sort of update series, I actually started going so ham and aggressive before I had unlocked even the Prussian ideas. Before I had even tapped into the Prussian ideas, I was going crazy. And with this game as well, for me, I'm getting to a point where I feel like, at least in the European region, I can pretty much play a nation. I'm hoping for good luck and so on, but I feel like I can actually sort of, maybe not one tag, but pretty much with any nation, just in general. Now, there are some nations, like maybe, for example, a Russian minor, that you will just be boxed in and don't have any kind of route of expansion whatsoever. And I'm not saying, that I could just objectively do it with any nation. What I'm trying to say is that I kind of feel like it's possible, right? And right now in this Byzantium game, I'm feeling pretty confident that we're going to get the one faith at this rate. And the reason that I'm talking about this in general, guys, is because when I first played the game, I always wanted to just conquer the world as a kind of prelude, and then I wanted to conquer the world as the nation of Hungary. But I kind of got, doing achievement runs and so on, I kind of got better than I ever anticipated at kind of a staggering speed. And then I kind of, as you guys saw in my previous series, I kind of wanted to step it up to where instead of conquering the world on Hungary, I wanted to one-tag the world on Hungary, which I actually achieved as well. And we're getting to a point now that, like I just said, I feel like on a good day, a good run, I can just kind of do something that grandiose as like even a one province minor. You guys saw my short, some of you I imagine saw my short Theodoro series. I mean, Theodoro just in general is a very weak nation, guys. And like I said in the last episode of that series, I'm doing just about the same, if not better, than this current game as Byzantium. And with that being said, I'm pretty sure if I really wanted to knuckle down, at the very least, I could conquer the world in that game as Theodoro. Who knows, I might even be able to one-tag or something like that as Theodora. And yeah, so this is my very long way of saying, guys, that I'm getting to a point where I feel like I can give it enough work and, like I said, a good day, luck, etc. I can really do just about anything. And with that in mind, I'm kind of trying to announce that from here, people might think where to go from here. Like, everybody likes Byzantium. Your next series is probably not going to be as popular or whatever. For me, what I have in mind right now is I want to get the 3 Mountains achievement. So I thought I'd take this opportunity while there's like 20 more minutes to go to kind of announce that and talk about things like that in general. So, yeah, like I just said, I kind of broke it down for you, and definitely Ryukyu is tremendously weak, like being in Asia and so on, much weaker than a European. But for me, I've always wanted, I actually didn't think, as they were making the game harder and harder, I honestly, a part of me thought that it was never possible. But what I'm trying to say is my ambition has kind of gotten to the point that before I ever retired EU4, I wanted to get the 3 Mountain achievement legitimately with no exploits. And I believe, because we play with no exploits, as you can see, obviously, there's very few people who have ever done that. There's not many people who have gotten the 3 Mountains achievement in general, but even fewer who are not exploiters. I believe it has been done. People have, just taken Ryuko and conquered the world. I know there's one guy who a lot of people, they just say, oh, he's the best and so on, without realizing that he plays on outdated versions of the game. He actually optimizes the sort of patch to where it was extremely easy by comparison. But I don't want to poo on that guy or start drama or anything, so, I won't name him or whatever. But there's another person, I think actually Raymond, which a lot of people like and a lot of people talk about on my channel, and I like him as well. I would be lying if I said I watched his content like religiously or anything, because I actually don't have that much time. But I think Raymond is not like a heavy exploiter or whatever, and he has gotten the 3 Mountains achievement, I believe. But for me, that's kind of like my next personal goal and ambition. And we may find that my next run after this is, trying to conquer the world. And of course, we will, for me, I will be focusing on the achievement itself, which means, I'm not going to be doing anything just for flavor or for fun to make it any more difficult than it needs to be. Like going for a 1 tag, I'm perfectly happy to have client states and subjects and so on, as long as we officially get that world conquest and achievement on Ryuko. I'll be happy. But like I did say earlier, guys, that is one of the ambitions I had, before I retire this game and leave this game. I want to achieve that achievement. And naturally, regrettably, I love this game, guys, in general. I've spent so many hours, like an unbelievable amount of hours playing this game. Right here I can see that Great Britain is defender of the Reformed faith, which is really frustrating me because I want to go in and just smash Burgundy. But Great Britain's going to make it a little bit more tedious. And right here I was looking to see if he has a non-French region province, so that I didn't have to go through the full annexation and leave him with one province outside that is not required to form the Roman Empire. But he doesn't, unfortunately. So I was a little bit upset. I definitely love this game. That's without a doubt. It's one of my top games ever, like the amount of time I put into it and so on. But I think a lot of you would agree with me. There are definitely drawbacks to the game, and over time, like, there has been points. I remember I was literally going to rage quit the game when Common Sense came out, because it was completely broken, and I was so tilted. I was like, you buy an expansion for them to ruin your game, right? Like, that's really upsetting. And I kind of announced, back then I was so insignificant. It was before my YouTube channel even had any significant content whatsoever. But I kind of was going to abandon this game even before I had ever really begun playing it, because I just hated Paradox to that extent. Like, I felt like they made a good product, but then they're not, good at kind of being a producer and a game developer or whatever. And I wanted to kind of quit on principle. Like, I hate their style. What I didn't realize is that damn near everybody else in the community felt the same way. And Paradox did kind of scramble and try to fix the issues, because I wasn't the only person feeling that way and feeling like I had to put my foot down. It was damn near everybody. But that's nonetheless, that is an example of how there has been issues and kind of a drama, I suppose, with Paradox in general over time. And I wish that was the only case, but it really goes on and on, doesn't it, guys? The mistakes that they make, including like the DLC scandal, but then also like the third Rome being like an expansion but not an expansion. It really goes on and on. And yeah, a part of me, guys, I've been really open and honest with you, and I'm trying to do that right now as well. Like, a part of me has always wanted to kind of branch out, but also a lot of people suggest, like, why don't I play Hearts of Iron and so on? I definitely could. I definitely could. It would be a bit weird because my kind of style is that I'm quite good at the game, right? That's just how things fall. Like a lot of lower level players, they thank me for my in-depth explanations and so on. And I would be a complete noob at Hearts of Iron, like completely noob. And it's not exactly like it's brand new, where I suggest a lot of people would have been noob. But the other thing is that it's Paradox as well, guys, and you have a lot of the same issues, like the constant DLC, which like you kind of want because it contributes to the game, but then the game, to an extent, it feels like it's almost like pay to play, and then you have the risk of, like they have so many times before, kind of like, ruining the game that you pay for and so on. It's a bit awkward. Again, I'm not trying to bash on like Paradox. I know there's a lot of fanboys, and I'm not trying to do it. Like overall, they do a good job, make a good game. But for me, I would just prefer to kind of ultimately not be playing like a Paradox game if that was possible, because I just there's a lot of worse companies, like EA and so on. I feel is worse, but I don't think Paradox is very good. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is that like I still have a lot of EU4 left in me, but like I talked about in one of my videos, I've been in a bit of a rut, and the most upsetting thing lately is really how Paradox seems to, I want to emphasize on the word seems to, almost hot fix, like make tiny patches to quote unquote fix things that I actually disagree should be fixed at all, like people's strategies on the game in the current patch, the current meta of the game. They just make a patch and change it so that those videos don't work. That kind of, to me, is like, by the way, this Delta region, I realize that Alexandria is not part of my area that has been stated up, but it's just such a nice province. It can be developed so cheaply, so that's why I stated that up there. But we're running out of free states available. It's almost like a declaration of war, guys, as a content provider or producer, I suppose, when a company does that. I know some people saying I'm dramatic and stuff like that. It's whatever. Like, if you disagree with me, you disagree with me. I don't really want to go in depth into that. But it's kind of like a declaration of war. Like, you build a channel doing something, and when they on the fly kind of ruin what you're doing, and I'm not the only one. I'm thinking about Diplo vassalizing Brandenburg here, guys, considering we have a free Diplo slot here, some nice reconquest, and could be nice to feed Brandenburg, the German region, with his nice ideas once we get the imperialism, etc. I think that's probably what we plan to do in the future. Yeah, if I just kind of finish my rant, I definitely want to go for and hopefully achieve the 3 mountains achievement, and I don't intend to sort of abandon EU4 before that. And hopefully, things change and I'm really motivated and happy to continue playing EU4 long into the future. But as it stands, guys, like I kind of am getting to a point like where I kind of feel like EU4 has run its course. And with that being said, people might think like, well, what else are you going to play, Monk? you're never going to have the same kind of prosperity and so on playing other games. And, I just wish you were wrong, guys, but I think you're pretty much on point with that. People who, the reality is, without shilling out and acting like an idiot and doing, just whatever it takes to get views, acting the fool, whatever, taking your shirt off, acting like an idiot, it is extremely difficult to actually break out in YouTube. And I always felt like this game was a bit of a niche, in the sense that there was kind of a bit of a demand and not much of a supply. Unfortunately, however, despite my channel getting, we're encroaching 15,000 followers, the real downside to this community, I have noticed, it is extremely elitist, and a lot of the feedback that I get is man, I like you and I appreciate your commentary and so on, and I would watch you no matter what you did. And that is the dream, right? That's really what you want somebody in my position really wants to hear. But unfortunately, the people who leave those comments and so on are a tiny minority. And the reality is, from my own personal experience, that sort of cross-game, my community is damn near non-existent. So, that sucks. I've been doing this for a long time, a lot longer than a lot of people know, in different formats, trying to make something. And it is a bit encouraging, I suppose, that I feel like even at this stage, I'm not going to have much to show for it once I sort of move on. But at the end of the day, guys, I'm not going to be playing EU for years into the future if I'm not enjoying it, and if I don't think that, if I'm not comfortable with, I don't think that it's a good community to be a part of for various reasons, Paradox and so on. But yeah, I hope I'm not bumming anybody out or anything like that. You guys are the best, for real. I really appreciate you guys, and one of the reasons I'm ranting about this is just so that people know what's coming. If you I don't want to hear all this nonsense about, I've seen it with so many other content providers, oh, you've changed and so on. Yep. I fully intend to change, evolve, if you will, going into the future. So I'd appreciate it if I don't have to deal with that nonsense. I'm trying to be completely open and honest with you guys. But at the same time, like I said again, still going to be playing this game going into the future. Going to be doing my best. I will be branching out like I have before, when I played Total War Warhammer. I actually really enjoyed that game, by the way, guys. There was a while that I played it as kind of my main game when I wasn't sort of quote-unquote working, recording this game. That was actually the situation I was in. It was actually my game of choice. Unfortunately, that's what I mean by this community being a little bit elitist. The game was not new when I started playing it, so a lot of the hype that I would have gotten from the Total War community or someone was not there. But yeah, the crossover of people watching that already follow my channel was extremely small. And yeah, at this point, that's kind of what I expect. But with that being said, guys, I bought the Rome Total War 2. And Rome Total War, the original one, was one of my all-time top games, and I was so hyped for Rome Total War 2, and I pre-purchased the game. We're involved in 3 wars here, which is pretty cool. Trying to take as much, I'm ahead in admin, I'm trying to spend my admin points. Yep, I played Rome Total War, absolutely loved it. It was one of my all-time favorite games, so I was so hyped for the second game, and unfortunately I was extremely disappointed when it came out. Not only was the game completely different from other Total War games, but it was buggy. and I kind of vowed to myself that I would never pre-purchase another game again, because I completely regretted paying out the wazoo for that game, and I probably spent about 3 hours playing it and never touched it again. With that being said, they did patch the game. Like, I'm not saying it's forgivable or whatever. It's just that by now they have patched the game. And I realized, having played Warhammer Total War, that a lot of the changes, they're much more similar, those two games, than Warhammer is with the old Total War games. A lot of the changes are actually pretty good, in my opinion. And I think the major thing that was distasteful about them for me was just the package that came with Rome Total War. Like, Rome Total War 2, everything was wrong with it. And change can be... I remember here I was like, I kind of made a bad choice going in there. We get caught out, but regardless, it is what it is. It's grown on me, is what I'm trying to say. Rome Total War 2 has grown on me. At this stage, they have fixed it, essentially, the major issues, the bugs, and it took me playing a new modern Total War game to actually realize that the mechanics in the game, the new mechanics, are actually good. They're actually good, and change can be a bit jarring and disappointing. Sometimes people don't like change, even if it's a good thing, you just want what you're familiar with. And I definitely say that was the case with Total War 2, Rome Total War 2, for me. And it's the fact that there were other drawbacks about the game that really made the changes appear to be even more distasteful. With that being in mind, what I'm trying to say is I've gone back and played Total War 2 a bit, Rome Total War 2, and I'm not going to lie, guys, like, after playing Warhammer Total War 2, currently, Rome Total War 2 is kind of like my main game. I haven't put much time into it. I think I have a total on Steam of like 30 hours in Total War 2, and it's been over the course of like years. But I've really been enjoying that game, and I kind of have the Rome fever, I suppose, playing Rome, Byzantium forming Rome in this game, and Rome Total War 2 in that game. But yeah, like I said, I don't have much time played in the game, but I am a veteran Total War player, and it's kind of my style to play on, like, legendary difficulty. And yeah, that's just something that I had in mind, that like I could do like another series, trying to branch out. But I just know full well that it is probably not going to do very well at all, to say the least. But I did want to bring it up, guys, and the main reason I do bring it up is just so you guys are aware of kind of, the people who watch this at such a late stage of the series, guys, are kind of like my more dedicated followers. And I wanted you guys to kind of be aware of what I'm thinking, so it's not just a complete surprise, but also your thoughts. Like, do you have thoughts? Would you be interested in like watching a Total War game? They are working, apparently, like Creative Assembly, on a brand new project which is history-based and not fantasy-based. A part of me thought, like, I've always been actually a fan of kind of Warhammer, but a lot of people perhaps aren't, especially EU4 people, are more history-oriented. And it did occur to me that perhaps part of the reason my series was such an abysmal failure compared to the other things I do on Warhammer Total War is because it is exactly that, Warhammer Total War, and that might be a bit of a turn-off for those of you who are not already into that genre, I suppose, of fantasy. Yeah, I just wonder, like, if I was just to chill, play through Rome Total War 2 on Legendary difficulty, I wonder, just from feedback, what do you guys think about that? Or with that being said, a newer Total War game, if it was to launch, if I was to try that out. And how long do we have left here with this recording? Oh, it's up. Lol. So there we go. I'm going to be ending this recording here then. But I just wanted to say that yeah, regardless, guys, at the end of the day, I'm not going to do this like a chore, and I'm not going to be a slave to like what you guys want. Like if people just want me to play EU4, I'm just not going to if I don't feel like it. I'm just going to do what I feel like, and this is not why I kind of got into, doing something like this, is to do what other people want me to do, like a second job. I don't want to be like a slave to that or whatever. At the end of the day, I am going to branch out and do what I want to do. And my dream essentially is to maybe get into a new game that's just awesome and so much hype, like kind of like World of Warcraft was when it launched, and become kind of like an influencer in that game. And yeah, it's going to be impossible to please everybody, but hopefully most people are like so hyped and just into the game and enjoy it, and yeah, build the community from there. Unfortunately, I don't think that EU4 is that game though, and I'm looking forward to branching out in the future. Sorry about this episode, guys, and sorry also for being behind my schedule, I suppose, on YouTube, and things will be back on track there. I feel like that was a bit of a fail, but it is what it is. Sorry. I'll see you next time in a new episode where I'm actually doing a live commentary. See you then.